Are we ready? Are we live? What's happening? Are we here? Woo! I think you can see me. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our bonus class on Synergy 12. I'm here. We're here. I'm so happy to see you. So the time has come, and, just brought some of my friends here with me today. I am so excited because we're talking about something today that I personally use in my work, I would say almost every day. Hi, everybody. Am I your rock goddess? That's really sweet. Hi, Christian says live for the first time in a while. So good. Is anybody new? Is anybody coming and this is your first class? Some people might have joined us today actually just for this conversation because Synergy 12 is such a popular topic. And you've been asking me for a long time to teach about it. And so how fun for me that I get to do something special for you. Hi, April. How I get to do something special for you. This is a free bonus class. So this is above and beyond what you paid for. This is my way of adding additional value for you based on what you love, which is gemstones. So I'm really excited. Alicia says she's new, sort of, which is very cool. So anybody who's new, I want to welcome you. And then everybody who's not new, I want to welcome you too. Because, being not new is special too. You're new since the eclipse, Lauren. It's pretty new. It's good to see you. Thank you for admiring my shirt. She makes clothing on Etsy. I can link to her for you. She's kind of magical. I love because it's open on the back too. Not to show you my bra, but she does sort of magical things in the back of her clothing too. So I'm loving supporting artists with their clothes, and I'm finding that when clothes are handmade, there's something really special about them. The love is a little more intense. So anyway, thank you for your sweet, kind words. It's kind of cute, isn't it? It feels a little Game of Thrones to me. There's a little bit of because it's got this high neck thing. It's whimsical. You're so welcome. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about the Synergy 12. I'm going to be with you until about 5:45. Then I'm going to break for just a couple of minutes to switch gears because I have Cosmic Comfort tonight with you again, hopefully, from 6 to 6:30. Cosmic Comfort is my free Wednesday prayer circle. It's basically like being in prayer circle with me. For the longest time, we did prayer circle here at Sage Goddess, and you guys knew we were doing it, but Cosmic Comfort, and we still do pray here, but Cosmic Comfort becomes sort of our global prayer. It's a way of sending up prayers with you. And so I'm glad that you are enjoying Cosmic Comfort too. That's my gift to you. We're going to continue it at least through the summer, so at least for the next couple of weeks. And then if you guys really love it and you don't want it to stop, we will take a little hiatus during the Denver Gem Show and then pick back up toward the middle of September too. I know, so let's jump right in. That's exactly right because the time does go by so fast. I'm going to smudge just very quickly. Because smudge, because you have to, because it's cosmically necessary. We are out of the eclipse shadow, so the good news is we don't have to worry about too much energetic instability in the field. Yeah, so gem-wise, I want to tell you this, okay, because you probably haven't heard me talk too much about Denver Insider, but you have less than a week left. So here's the deal with Denver Insider. What Denver Insider is a listing, a limited listing. I don't know how many we have left, but it is your chance to let me shop for you at the show using my discount, okay? So on average, you get 30% more than you pay for. So let's say you buy a $50 Denver Insider, you're going to get a stone worth at least $65, okay? And on top of that, you're going to get a free gift. And I have a couple of things up my sleeve for free gifts. So your free gift is going to be worth anywhere from $20 to $30. So even if you buy a $50 Denver Insider, you're going to get anywhere from $35 to $50 worth of additional stones and gifts than you would normally get if you were shopping retail, even with me. Okay, so I pass the discount on to you. You have just a couple of days left because what I do is on August 31st, I print them all out. I go through, I read all the notes, try to figure out what people are looking for. And then when I get to the show, I start shopping. So that is a limited time offering. If you got one, I'm really excited. So yes, the 31st is the cutoff. If you haven't done it before, it's really fun. And people keep coming back and doing it because I make sure that I don't send you the same thing twice. like I said, that you get at least 30% more for your money, sometimes up to 50% more for your money. There have been people who literally just have sent me videos of themselves just screaming and crying when they open the box because they spend $50, they get something worth almost $100 in some cases. It's very exciting. And I never know exactly what I'm going to find. So it becomes this, I hunt and hunt and hunt to find things. Some of the things that I'm anticipating finding for you are big generators, big spheres, and then altar plates, like big slices of agate and amethyst, pink amethyst and green amethyst, beautiful things. Lots of carvings. They're talking about lots of carvings. I'm hoping to bring back wands. Lots of jewelry. If you want 2 smaller items instead of 1 larger item, mention that in your notes, and I will try to spend your money the way you want me to spend it. Most people want me to put it all in one place. Most people want, something big. But let's say you spend $50 and you want three smaller things. I will do that for you too. So there is, I don't always know what I'm going to find, but I do try to customize it to what you are looking for. But like I said, this is last call for that because we're getting ready to make our spreadsheet before I go, which is very exciting. Okay, so let's talk Synergy 12. So I want to start by saying this. Okay, so Synergy 12, Robert Simmons, who I'm sure you're familiar with. Robert Simmons is the co-author of the Book of Stones. And yes, Ashley, I can find scanner crystals in that price range for sure. So you choose with the Denver Insider. There's 50, 100, I think 200, 500, and 1,000 because there are quite a few people who save up their money all year because they know if they give me $1,000 to spend, they're going to get something worth $1,300 to $1,500. So it's a good investment, but certainly, even the smaller price points are going to get something really, really special. The difference between Denver and Tucson Insider, by the way, is which show. So September is the Denver show, and then February is the Tucson show. So if you want to wait for Tucson, then you can save up your money now, and then let me shop for you in February. That's the difference. Very cool, huh? Okay. By the way, I have a free gift for you tonight. Are you excited? When I do these things, please don't mention them outside of the group because I don't have enough, okay? In honor of tonight, I've made an essential oil blend called the 12. And it has 1 essential oil in it for each of the Synergy 12 stones that aligns to the metaphysical properties of each of the 12 stones. So this is a pure essential oil dram. It's my gift. All you have to do is say 12 in your notes when you check out. Now you can do this on top of your 17% off, and you can do this on top of code SOLAR to also get the Clairaudience dram and the Labradorite today, which is the other free gift. So you guys in GemWise are getting something really, really special for the next 24 hours only, and only if you say 12 in your notes. And there's no minimum purchase, so even if you go and grab something small, I'm going to send this to you. I'm doing this because I want you to work with this, even if you don't have the 12 stones. This will be sort of the essential oil version of the Synergy 12. It has an essential oil, 1 note to represent each of the energies of all the 12. Are you excited? I know, right? So anyway, it's a free gift. But please don't mention it outside of GemWise because I don't have enough for anybody else to have it. That was fun for me, you guys. And challenging, too, to think about. So how do we capture? Each one of the Synergy 12 has a property. It has an archetype, okay? It has a character or an energy that it brings to the table. So just code 12. You can say 1, 2, or you can spell it out. 12 gets you the free essential oil blend called the 12, and it's got all the qualities, all the characters. Okay, so if you aren't ordering, that's okay, you don't have to, but if you are ordering, I'd love to send that to you because it's just for you, which is pretty special. Okay, so I'm going to show you my grid, and I'm going to tell you. So Robert Simmons, who authored the Book of Stones with Nisha Arden, or Ashan, who is his co-author. They together wrote that book. And Robert Simmons was really the first one to coin the phrase Synergy 12. And there are, if you ordered within the last 10, 15 minutes, just email Magic. If you ordered half an hour to an hour ago, they may not be able to put it together for you. But if you ordered in the last 5, 10 minutes, please email Magic and let them know, and they'll do their best for you. So he's the one who first coined the term Synergy 12. There is a lot of, before I even tell you about the properties of it, I want to tell you about what some people say, okay? And then ultimately what I'm going to do is teach you tonight, and you need to make up your own mind, Okay, so the Synergy 12 is the phrase that he coined to talk about the power of these 12 stones in unison. There are people who feel like it was an arbitrary name given to an arbitrary set of stones for whatever purpose. I don't think it was marketing, because honestly, hardly anyone can sell the set of Synergy 12. I have a hard time, even with my resources, putting this set together for you in a way that would give you a big enough set of stones for you to work with. They're very rare. So I sincerely think that he's onto something, and that's why I'm teaching you about this tonight. I use these 12 stones constantly. I use them primarily for healing and secondarily for manifestation. Those are the two gifts in my mind of the Synergy 12. They are for healing and they are for manifestation. What they do, are you ready for this? Truly. And I wish that I could have you sit here in the room with me. What they do is accelerate your spiritual development. And I mean fast track, okay? So wherever you are in your spiritual development process, if it's typically going to take you 2 years to get from point A to point B, all of a sudden you're there in 6 months. If it was going to take you 10 years to get from point A to point B, all of a sudden you're there in 1 year. They are accelerators. And the vibration of these particular stones, and by the way, I read all of your questions in the group, and I so appreciate it. One of the really good questions was around Satyaloka quartz, and why would you put Satyaloka in the Synergy 12 as opposed to Herkimer, right? Which we all sort of say that the Herkimer diamonds are the highest vibrational quartz on the planet in terms of clarity, and that's what we're talking about with vibration when we're talking about Herkimer diamonds. So most people judge vibration of quartz by the clarity of the stone. And, that's how we grade diamonds. That's how we grade a lot of stones, right, in gemological society. So it's not too surprising that people associate vibrational frequency and power with clarity. The reason Satyaloka is so important, and I'm going to go through each of the of the stones with you tonight. Oh, Lauren, it was a great question, so I appreciate it. The main reason Satyaloka is the quartz for this grid, for this set of stones, is the location. Okay. The monastery in South India, where the Satyaloka quartz is harvested by monks who are there in the monastery, is thought to be the center, really the heartbeat of wisdom and creation on our planet, by some. Okay, and again, you can agree with it, not agree with it, but that is the rationale. And so while the Herkimers are extremely clear and vibrationally they're very powerful, Herkimer, New York is not a vortex, okay? So the stones that come out of Herkimer, New York, extremely clear, and in that way are vibrationally very significant. But the location of Satyaloka is much more powerful than Herkimer. Does that make sense? So one of the things you always want to think about with your stones, it's almost like grading diamonds, like cut, clarity, color. With your minerals, what you want to think about is partly clarity, because again, we are biased, right? In the gem world, we're always biased around clarity. We think that something that's more clear is better, just like we think that something that's bigger is better. But when it comes to vibration, I really, really do believe that location is just as significant as the clarity of the quartz itself. Does that help to explain? And that's why I love this group. I love our class, and I love your questions, because hopefully I would have gotten around to that, Lorian, but I may not have expressed it in exactly that way. And so as I go through everything tonight, I'm going to try to respond to the questions you asked in the group. But if I miss something, please ask me here, because I'm here to teach you, and there really are no dumb questions. And also, you can't, there's nothing you can ask. I may not know all the answers to your questions, but and I can also be of two minds. So I can, if there's disagreement, in our world about something, I can show you both sides of that and then leave it to you to make your own assessment. So I don't necessarily think there's a right and a wrong, but I'm always going to try to give you as much information as I can. And Nicole has Satyaloka rings. You know what, Nicole? If you ever have time and you could take a picture and post it in the group, I'd really love to see them on you, actually, because it's very special. Satyaloka quartz, this is Satyaloka. And then, of course, I have Satyaloka on my grid, a teeny piece of Satyaloka quartz on my grid. This is a much bigger piece. So as I have, now I'm going to tell you something. These are really the only nice pieces I have of natrolite, phenakite, brookite, and Satyaloka. These are the only pieces of those stones that I own beyond what's on my grid. that should tell you something. And that is, having worked with stones for 30 years, having traveled around the world, having connections with people in lots of different countries, this is all I have. Okay? So that should tell you something about how special these are, how rare these are. I don't work with them very often. I get nervous when I leave them somewhere because I'm so worried that, I mean, this is a treasure for me. And a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, look at that teeny tiny grid. Why would she care about that? This thing, I'm surprised it doesn't get up and float away by itself. It's very powerful. And so one of the things I want to encourage you to think about when it comes to your crystals is not size. Because in some cases, you're not going to be able to get a big piece. I mean, for me to have a piece of brookite this size is almost unheard of. I mean, that's a jewel in my collection. You know, this is an incredible piece of phenakite. Not clear, not super sexy, but man, I mean, it almost vibrates out of my hand, right? So we're going to go through each of the stones tonight. Actually, bear with me for just a minute. It's really hot in the room where I am, so I'm going to turn on the air conditioning. I'll be right back with you. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to go through each of the stones with you. This is going to be kind of a quick review because we don't have hours. I literally could spend the next 3, 4, 5 hours sitting here walking you through my personal experiences with these stones, all the different ways you can grid with them, all the different uses. If you love this and you want to drill down, I would be more than happy to do a round 2 of this for you. You may find that what I give you tonight is enough, where you're like, you know what, interesting. They're not they're not that accessible. We do not have the Synergy 12 set for you to purchase. It is my dream, though, one day to be able to offer you Synergy 12. Part of the reason I haven't done it yet, I'll be honest with you, is I'm not convinced that everything that people sell as Synergy 12 is real or authentic. I've seen quartz that looks like Satyaloka to me, being sold as Satyaloka, and I've seen quartz that doesn't have sort of the Satyaloka quartz usually has inclusions, a little bit of black inclusion and gold inclusion. It has these different azeztulite's the same way. It's like certain colors and inclusions that you expect to see in these minerals. The brookite with the dark brown inclusions. I get nervous because I want to make sure that what I would offer you is absolutely accurate. And sometimes people want to sell things as Synergy 12 that isn't. So I would just encourage you, please, please do your diligence. If you go and find a set, I think that's great. Just make sure that everything that you're purchasing is authentic. You always have a right to ask, where do these stones come from? I mean, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about where these stones are mined. And so, although they do come from different parts of the world. So, and here's what's fun. If you only have 5 of the 12 or 6 of the 12, take your time. For me, there's a sweetness in collecting things that take you a long time to gather. Because at the end, you're going to appreciate it so much more. If it takes you 2 years or 5 years to finally gather your Synergy 12, that's really magical. I mean, that will be that could be a lifelong project for you. Maybe you decide that you want to collect them, but you want to travel to the locations where they're mined. Or maybe you decide you want to collect them, but you only want to buy one per year because you want to buy a really nice piece. How fun that it might take you a decade or 12 years. That will be an heirloom in your collection. So I actually want to encourage you to take your time. Okay, so let's dive right in. What does the Synergy 12 bring? First of all, I want to point out to you why 12, okay? If you think about the fact that the number 12, I'm going to show you Metatron's cube right now, or a variation on Metatron's cube. If you think about why 12, Metatron's cube typically has 12 circles with a 13th in the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then 13 is right here. And the way we typically think of that 13th sphere in Metatron's cube is that it's you. You are at the center of Metatron's cube. Now, there's a lot of conversation about what the Synergy 12 does, and one of the thoughts that goes around and travels through different circles is that it actually is activating your light body. there's a lot of conversation right now. And I'm going to say this really quickly, but it's really important so that you understand contextually, okay? There's a lot of chatter right now about the fact we've always thought of our energy as being around our body in like an egg. You know what I mean? Like an oval that surrounds you from underneath your feet to the top of your head. We've always thought that that was our light body. And that if you wanted to protect yourself, you would mirror that up, or you would bubble that up to protect the light body or the aura that surrounds you. More and more, what the conversations are looking like is that our light body is turning from this egg shape to the Merkaba, which is what our light body was in ancient times. With this oval light body, we can't travel, but with a Merkaba-shaped light body, and remember Merkaba in ancient Egyptian means light spirit body. With the Merkaba, that's how we actually used to travel, okay? And lots of people report having near-death experiences or seeing someone die, and that the Merkaba is actually the shape that emerges from the body that transports the soul, to the next dimension, wherever it's going. I'm mentioning all of this because there are 12 points in the Merkaba. There are 12 chakras, technically not 7 but 12. There are 12 months in the year. There are 12 astrological signs. The number 12 is one of the most important numbers in the universe. And if you think about it, 1 plus 2 is 3. So 12 reduces to 3, which is, of course, the number of sides of an equilateral triangle, which is one of the most important symbols in alchemy and magic in general. And so 3 has been important throughout the history of magic. Maiden Mother Crone, Christ, God and the Holy Spirit. And so these numbers are highly significant. I don't think, first of all, I think the 12 stones themselves are pure magic. And I don't think that Robert Simmons just said, oh, let me just come up with 12. I think there is a real magic to this. And for me, it's rooted in light body activation. It's rooted in sacred geometry. It's rooted in history, and it's rooted in numerology. So I like to trace all of those paths. Of course, 12 houses in the zodiac wheel as well, right? So there's 12 signs, 12 houses. So like I said, if you wanted to do a part 2 on this, what I would want to drill down into is the relationship between the energies of these stones and the repetition of 12 in our universe as we see it as a blueprint for magic, okay? That's where I would go with part 2, but you stay with me for the next 20 minutes and see if this is interesting to you and see if this resonates with you and you'd want to go down that rabbit hole with me, because it would be kind of a major rabbit hole that we'd be going down. Yeah, no, it's true. You're not all in Holistic Healer, but you are all in GemWise. And so this is a special bonus just for members of GemWise. When I do the numerology class, that's going to be a special bonus just for Holistic Healer. Okay, all right, cool. So here we go. So what does the Synergy 12 do for you? I'm gonna run on the sort of the qualities, or let's say the energy streams that the Synergy 12 is going to provide to you. The first thing is rapid ascension, okay? The goal of your spiritual, I love it that you guys are always willing to go for the ride with me. I love that so much. The goal of your spiritual development is ascension. It is to evolve into a higher, more evolved version of yourself, which is how you work through your karma, and ultimately how your guides and how Source decides whether you completed the work of your soul in this lifetime, or whether you have to come back and either redo certain things or evolve and experience new lessons in order to move forward on your path. So ascension, activation. Why does light body activation matter? That's part of ascension, first of all. And the second thing is, when your light body is activated, you are able to do things like activate your own DNA strand, okay? Which means you're capable at that point of doing what we call DNA transplant, or DNA harvesting. You can actually activate multiple strands of your own DNA and harvest from one to repair the other. It's sort of like a metaphysical version of stem cell work. And so that's part of what happens when you're working with the Synergy 12. Ultimately, it's transformation, right? It's taking you from point A to point B, from state A to state B, and creating some new iteration or new version of yourself. Like I said, it's a massive source of acceleration. And because so much of these stones are located in high vortex points, what we talked earlier in the year about ley lines, and that, by the way, this class will be available to you forever, okay? This class is recorded, it's archived, and and you will have access as a GemWise member for the rest of your life until you don't want to access it anymore. So don't worry if you have to miss any part of this. Because so many of the stones in the Synergy 12 come from these high vortex points across these central ley lines that we talked about earlier in the year, that is the other piece of this. These are not stones that are coming from insignificant locations around the planet. In fact, some people feel like there is an energetic activation happening in these places where these particular stones are coming from, and that they make their own grid. The locations of these crystals make their own grid. Okay, so whether you work with them or not, they are working with themselves. And so what happens when you have the 12 of them together, I have goosebumps all over. What happens when you have the 12 of them together is you're plugging in. This grid already exists. All I'm doing is plugging into it. And when you plug in, you're able to download and receive. And that is the benefit of working with the 12 stones. Now again, I'm a skeptic too. So you can read all the stuff online where people say, oh, Robert Simmons is nuts, and he made it up, and it doesn't mean anything, and I've worked with them, and it's a joke, and they're just overpriced, and they're rare. I hear all of that. If I didn't have my own personal experience with it, I wouldn't even be sitting in front of you right now talking about it, okay? So let's start, let's just jump right in with Satyaloka quartz. It's been 5 minutes now. I don't want them to log off. Oh, no.
They're there.
Okay.
Hang on. Because see, stream status good. So hang on.
It's been 5 minutes now. I'm here.
Hi, everybody. There you go.
I'm like, did you guys see how worried I was there for a second? I was worried you're gonna leave me. Don't leave me. All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna take over class now. No, have fun.
He can teach you a thing or two. I mean, it's you'd have to go slow with him there. I was like, oh God, they're gonna leave me. Okay. Hey, Mercury retrograde. Okay, so I left you at let's jump right in with Satyaloka quartz, except we couldn't jump right in because okay. So Satyaloka quartz. I'm gonna like move quickly now because we wasted a couple of minutes there, so bear with me. Satyaloka quartz comes from that region, which it translates to region of truth. Okay, so this is thought to be, that Satyaloka region and that monastery in particular is thought to be one of the holiest sites on the planet. That's why Lorian's question about, why would you use that quartz as opposed to Herkimer, which is such a brilliant question. It's because of the location. It's not because of the quality. Satyaloka quartz looks like crap. I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't look like great quartz. But you'll start to recognize it. The more you work with it, you'll start to recognize the inclusions that are sort of characteristic hallmark of Satyaloka. And I do really recommend that you learn before you buy, because again, I've seen people selling sets where I was like, I don't know if that's Synergy 12, right? South of India, it is thought to be the highest vibration location on Earth, and what it is supposed to give you is spiritual antenna, okay? I will tell you my experience working with Satyaloka quartz is that I do feel like what it does is, again, I feel like it's the main energy source of this universal grid that you plug into when you work with Synergy 12. So I think it is one of the most powerful of the 12, even though it's not the sexiest by far, and it's not the most expensive either. But I like to call it the generator of the Synergy 12 because I think it's sort of behind the scenes pumping in all the energy. So I'm going to give you, for each of the stones, I'm going to give you the name of the stone. I wouldn't say cheap, right? I mean, cheap is relative. It's still more expensive than non-Satyaloka quartz because, I mean, to mine that, it's a remote location. It is gathered by the monks. In some cases, many people say that they are christened and blessed and all these things. So it's not cheap, but it's not going to be as expensive as brookite or tanzanite in most cases. So it's one of the more accessible ones, I would say. I'm going to give you the name of the stone and the keyword. And actually, I think I'm going to give you all 12 and then circle back. You ready? So get a piece of paper, get a pen. I'm going to give you the 12 names of the stones and the 12 energy streams that they bring. Are you ready for that? Okay. So Satyaloka quartz, your keywords are amplification and truth. Satyaloka quartz, amplification and truth. remember, I consider it to be the generator, the sort of the powerhouse behind the scenes of all of the 12, sort of giving it the turbo boost of energy that it creates. Moldavite, which a lot of you are familiar with and some of you have. By the way, we have big pieces on the website right now. If my team has access to it, they'll give you the link, because you can use your 17% off your code ECLIPSE. So if you're looking for a big sexy piece of moldavite, I don't have much, I think it's like a dozen pieces, but there's some big juicy chunks in the shop right now. Moldavite, your keywords are acceleration, and here's the keyword that I love, stardust. That's one of the keywords for moldavite. If you think about it, moldavite, what it did as it re-entered Earth's atmosphere, because of course moldavite is the result of a meteoric collision with Earth, you know that. And so in re-entering the Earth, it was the result of the huge explosion and then the re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Moldavite is thought to include particles of all of the stardust in the universe, which I love. Now I have friends who will not sell it, who will not work with it, who will not sell it, who will not even have it in their shop. Because there is a set of beliefs around moldavite that you can't clear it. That it actually has so much stardust and so much particle energy from the outer realms, which is unstable and in some cases unidentified, right? That's why we call it extraterrestrial, unidentified. So I do have friends who will not work with it. Thank you for that, by the way, Pushita, to give a beautiful literal translation of Satyaloka. So some people don't like it. I flip and love it. I could not work without it. I will tell you, I work with moldavite all the time. If I'm not working with the actual stone, I've got a piece of jewelry on. I have a ring that I wear almost all the time. I'm not wearing it today, but I usually do. I'm wearing my big tanzanite ring today in honor of our Synergy 12. So moldavite, acceleration, and stardust. Some of the Synergy 12 have elemental correspondences. Moldavite, for me, element of air, okay? I also consider it element of fire because it was the result of a meteoric collision and then it re-entered Earth's atmosphere, obviously by traveling through air. So it represents both air and fire. Phenakite. It's not phenacite, it's phenakite, like kite that you fly, okay? Phenakite. And we'll talk about tektite. Tektite is another type of meteoric glass, but it is different from moldavite, and so it is not the same. And then there's Libyan tektite. So there is the black tektite, which is the type that's in the Synergy 12. Then there's Libyan tektite, which I occasionally have once or twice a year. You want to talk about expensive, because Libyan tektite is also a result of meteoric collision with the Earth, but it landed in the sub-Saharan desert, and so it got wind blown over thousands of years, and so it looks entirely different, even though it's also meteoric glass. Phenakite comes from Africa. The two key words for phenakite, harmony and multidimensionality. And what I mean by multidimensionality is, and a lot of you are having this experience, I actually think a lot of us are becoming multidimensional. I really do believe that. I think a lot of us are going through an ascension process. I think we are up-leveling. I think we are connecting more to other dimensions. We're doing more journey work. We're doing more astral travel. We're doing more work in dream time, and that is all outside of our current dimension. And so multidimensionality is another hallmark of phenakite. I have a phenakite necklace. I can't wear it very often because literally I feel like I'm going to come out of my body. So work with phenakite carefully. I actually have more of a reaction to phenakite than I do to moldavite, but I would love for you to explore and see how you feel about it. Brookite. The keywords are bridging, because it's thought to bridge the upper and lower chakras. Brookite is the one that collapses. So it takes all the higher order, spiritual evolution energies of the upper chakras, and then all the grounding, stabilizing energies of the lower chakras, and it collapses and unifies them. But Brookite also holds the energy of as above, so below. It becomes this mirror of what is the astral realm and what is the material realm. So it helps you to see more clearly the connection or the relationship between really what are your two realms of experience, the astral and the material. So that's very powerful. Danburite largely comes from Mexico at this particular time. That's where most of the danburite in the world is mined from. DNA. So danburite, the reason, and I've told you for years that danburite's a master healer. You want to know why it's a master healer? Because danburite is the one that can actually activate your DNA strands and help you to do DNA harvesting from one strand of your DNA to another. There are people in our community, in our worlds, who actually use danburite to manifest their additional strands of DNA in meditation, and then go into those additional strands, harvest whatever DNA is needed to repair the original strand. So that is about DNA activation. The other key word is remembering, because what Danburite does is it helps you remember your past lives. You start wearing Danburite jewelry and you're going to start having some memories. And some of them will be difficult and some of them will be beautiful. And so people always ask me, should I work with it? And what I say is, if you're feeling called to it, you absolutely should. There's a reason. You're either being called to do some hardcore DNA activation and healing of your strand, or you're being called to remember past lives where you may also have access to healing information that maybe you knew in a past life but you've forgotten. So I think that is very powerful. The second, for Brookite, it's bridging and then as above, so below, because it's a mirror of the two dimensions. Yep. Okay, azeztulite. Now here's what's fun about azeztulite. You want to talk about a stone that gets a bad rap. I mean, and again, if people want to be critical, they can find 100 different ways to be critical. Azeztulite is said to come from Middle Earth, where many of us believe, and I do believe, that there is a civilization of people who are living in the center of our planet right now. There are different names for that. There are different names for the entrances and exits to Middle Earth, but Azez is one of the names. And so azeztulite is thought to be quartz that comes from this center part of the planet where there is this active civilization who is working to regenerate our own human DNA strands. So they are working from the inside of the earth to, yes, the Agathans, right? And so the two key words for azeztulite are inner earth, because it is an inner earth stone, and that, by the way, makes it the earth element stone of the Synergy 12. So we had air and fire with moldavite, we have earth with azeztulite, and then the other key word for azeztulite is mastery, because what we know of the beings who live in Middle Earth is that they have mastered the skills that we came to Earth to practice. And so they are in the center of the earth because they have already evolved and ascended beyond what we think of as our mortal realm here on Upper Earth. And so they are down in the center of the earth as a result of their evolution. Natrolite. Natrolite is one of my favorites. Natrolite represents the element of water in the Synergy 12. And it is the one that represents purification. Natrolite is for your brain. This is a piece of natrolite. Now again, you could look at that and say, really? I mean, really? How rare is that? It is so rare I can't even tell you. When I was able to finally get a piece this size, I literally just screamed because, I thought I could make jewelry out of that. If you might even look at it and say, oh, is that selenite? Is that because it looks like raw scolecite a little bit, but it's its own crystal with its own metaphysical properties. Natrolite is a healer of the brain. I have MS, as most of you know, and so I actually work medicinally with natrolite for my central nervous system. If you have any kind of autoimmune disease, especially one that affects the spinal column, natrolite is going to be one of the most powerful healers for you to work with. If you combine natrolite with sugilite and eudialyte, I will tell you, you probably have the three most powerful stones that you can use to work with to heal the central nervous system. Part of the reason why a lot of us have disorders of the brain and the central nervous system is that our central nervous system, our CNS, can barely handle the transmissions. Okay, when you're journeying and downloading and receiving transmissions, and you are really an open channel for the planet, what do you think that does to your central nervous column? I mean, it can blitz it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I might sound like I'm crazy to some of you who haven't been with me for a long time, but those of you who've been with me for a long time, you've heard me say things like this before. I think a lot of us have challenges with the brain and central nervous system because we've had an overload from doing the channeling and downloading work that we do, holding space as healers on the planet. And so those three stones for the CNS are natrolite, sugilite, and eudialyte. There's truly nothing better, okay? And so you can fry your container, that's exactly right. And I feel really bad because a lot of people who are diagnosed with MS or Parkinson's disease or lupus and fibro even, I would say, think, and many of us don't have any kind of genetic tie. Like, I don't have anybody in my family with any central nervous disorders before me. Why did it happen to me? I think it's being in this body, in this container, and trying to do this work. And so anyway, if you ever have issues with your central nervous system, I want you to remember that I told you that Natrolite, you need to source it, and you need to either wear it or carry it with you, especially during times when you feel like your system's blowing, which can feel like numbness and tingling, and it can feel like pain and neuralgia. It can feel like migraine headaches. Those are all symptoms that your CNS is being challenged. So anxiety and depression usually precede central nervous conditions, right? Like you talk to people who have disorders of the CNS, and usually they would tell you that they started out by having severe anxiety and depression that all of a sudden sort of transitioned into having like an actual neural condition. So yes, Eudialyte, which comes from the Russian, peninsula and Siberia, and also there's a pocket of Eudialyte in Canada, which is why the prices of Eudialyte have come down a little bit, because we finally have a second pocket to pull from. But anyway, I'm like blah, 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 blah. I want to tell you all this stuff before the end of class, but Natrolite is the central nervous healer. The other central nervous healer, though, is Herderite, which is the next in the Synergy 12. Herderite, interestingly, so what Herderite represents is leadership for spirit beings. Think of herding, okay? You're herding energies, you're herding people, you're herding vibrational fields, you're trying to gather energy and raise energy and collect energy. That's Herderite. But it can also be a healer of the central nervous system. I haven't had the same experience with Herderite that I have had with Natrolite, which is why if you were to ask me, I would say go with Natrolite because they're expensive. If you can only buy one for your CNS, I would buy Natrolite over Herderite any day, but that's just my personal experience. So the Herderite keywords are leadership and herding. But Herderite helps you become a better leader through communication. It enhances interpersonal as well as interdimensional communication. It's not as powerful as Phenakite or Tektite. Those are the two primary interdimensional communication stones. We actually use Tektite for people in long-distance relationships because do you know, if you take two, I know, spelling class tonight, you're not kidding. If you take two pieces of Tektite, like let's say you and your lover have to be separated for a year, okay? If you take two pieces of Tektite and you work with them together in person, with the pieces in person, and then you take them and you go separate, the two pieces will actually communicate with each other. And there's a lot of documentation. I could give you story upon story upon story about people who have had these remote, even remote viewing using Tektite, going into meditation and being able to actually close your eyes and remote view the other person who's holding the other piece. So these stones are very powerful. Scolecite. Did you get one of these when I had them? I didn't have very many. I had Scolecite spheres. Now when you see, like, Magical Sabbatical is working with Scolecite next month because we're doing an Akashic record meditation, and I put Scolecite in their set because, of course, that's what it's for. I had these spheres, so if you got one, now you know why it's so special that you have a Scolecite sphere. I don't have these anymore, by the way, but I'm hoping to get them in Denver. So that's the kind of Denver insider stuff that you can get excited about. Okay, Scolecite comes from India. The keywords for Scolecite, connectivity, and primarily to information, astral information, which is why it literally is the number one stone you can use to work with to access the Akashic records. It gives you access to the astral libraries, okay? So connectivity and then networking and pathing are the other two keywords. What it does is it connects you not just to astral wisdom and information, but to the sources of all of that wisdom and information. So it creates this, I always think of Scolecite. Do you see the actual structure of Scolecite, how it's all these little lines, these dots, and then all these lines that connect it? I think that is no accident because I think that's actually what Scolecite does. It gives you access to all the information as well as the sources of the information. Does that make sense? I think the actual structure of the stone reveals that. Tanzanite. Are you ready? I told you this was going to be hot and fast tonight. Tanzanite. Oh my God, Lorian's got a Scolecite pendulum. That's really special. I bet you get some seriously good information using your Scolecite pendulum. Okay, Tanzanite. I'm wearing a Tanzanite ring. I had these in the shop not too long ago. This is a Tanzanite crystal. A fully formed Tanzanite crystal, which is pretty special. This is the Tanzanite that I have carried forever in the shop. So if you got a piece of it when I had it in the shop before, we had beautiful small tumbled pieces. Tanzanite, did you know, is 1,000 times rarer than diamond. If I ever got married again, do you know that instead of a diamond, I would choose Tanzanite? It is 1,000 times rarer than diamond. And in fact, Tanzanite shouldn't even exist the mineralogical and geological conditions that have to be present for tanzanite to be created. It's almost like K2 stone. It shouldn't exist. Those conditions shouldn't even exist. So tanzanite is very, very special. The keywords are rebirth and shamanic initiation. Okay, so tanzanite is a stone that comes through and rebirths you from the inside out. You better be ready. I mean, I love the whole process of rebirthing. I am not afraid to recreate myself or to let the universe recreate through me. I am constantly in these cycles of regeneration. I have learned not to resist that, but there are people who really don't like that. If you don't want to go through a rebirthing or a shamanic initiation or an introduction to a deeper path, I would stay the hell away from tanzanite if I were you, because it almost like it's a permission slip to the universe. And when I tell you this, I'm telling you I've had some of the most profound experiences of my life with tanzanite. It is a permission slip to the universe to rebirth through you, to initiate through you, to create through you. And what it does for your intuition is hard to even put into words. So tanzanite is very special. I don't know if we have, my team, if we have any of these stones, by the way, they're going to put links in the feed for you. I don't even know exactly what we have in stock because people come through and buy things. And so I think we have tektite, but we may not. I think we have petalite, but we may not. So if we have anything, the team is going to kindly put links for you. Petalite, okay, largely from Brazil, but I'll tell you, wherever tourmaline grows, you can get petalite too, because tourmaline grows with kyanite, grows with petalite, grows with kunzite, grows with smoky quartz, grows with clear quartz, grows with morganite, so it grows with aquamarine. So these are all stones that grow together. Primarily, this is a configuration that you find in Brazil and in Afghanistan, but there are other pockets around the world. Petalite, the keywords are protection and alignment. What petalite does, and I'm not talking about alignment of your central nervous system, okay? I'm talking about alignment of frequencies. So what petalite does, okay, is petalite looks at the frequency in your environment and it looks at your personal frequency. If the energy in your environment is low, it raises the vibration to meet you. If the energy in your environment is high but you're low, it raises your own personal frequency to meet it. So it will raise you or raise it, depending on whichever is highest. So petalite aligns you to the highest possible frequency. Why does that matter? Because if you're wearing, and this is why I almost want to have petalite with me all the time, if you're wearing it or carrying it with you, even if you walk into an energetic cesspool, okay, like a room where the energy is so bad, so low. I had it with me when I had my daughter in the hospital last week, because hospitals are very low vibration spaces. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. It's not the vibrationally, sound space. It will either raise your vibration or lower your vibration to meet the highest vibration in the environment. Does that make sense? So I actually consider petalite to be antibacterial because a high vibration keeps you well, it keeps you happy, it keeps you buoyant, it keeps you sane, it keeps you thinking clearly, it keeps you sleeping well at night, and petalite does all of that. Ashley sleeps with it, so I'm guessing you've had that experience, Ashley, of how it can align and balance the central nervous system. Yeah, Joyce remembers, I always call it my white cloak of protection. But part of what I love about tonight, and if you guys are interested in part 2, you just let me know, because I will do it for you. It's been so fast tonight, but hopefully I've given you like a taste, right? Part of what I love about petalite is that it's a soft protection stone, but it's all you need. It's not like hematite that's so heavy and strong. It's not like black tourmaline, which is a beautiful protection stone, but it's almost too much for some of us as empaths because it'll really make you feel weighed down. Petalite is this beautiful white velvet cloak of protection. But part of what I love about this class tonight is I'm not just telling you the what, I'm telling you the why. Why is petalite protective? Why is tanzanite so special? Why would you choose to work with natrolite? Why is Satyaloka quartz so much more powerful than a Herkimer diamond? I really wanted to give you the why tonight and not just the what, because the what leaves people empty. The what leaves people saying, well, maybe Robert Simmons just made it up. I don't think so. The why and the how and the where fills in all the blanks of the story so that you understand why so many of us who are really serious about stones would tell you we can't live without the Synergy 12, and I certainly couldn't manifest without Synergy 12. Tektite is the last of all the stones. Tektite, like I said, is the black version of moldavite. It is a tectonic glass. It is a meteoric glass, but it is not of the same origin, does not have the same sticky, tricky energy that moldavite does, so people are more open to working with it. The key words for tektite are interdimensional communication and telepathy. Because like I said, if you have to be separated from your child, or you have to be separated from a lover, if you put two pieces of Tektite together and set the intention that they will communicate, it doesn't matter how far apart you go in the world, your piece will still communicate with the other piece. How cool is that? Nicole says, what would happen if I had all 12 under my pillow at night? I think you would fly away. I like to say if you spend too much time with the Synergy 12, the mothership might land and take you away. And what I always say is, and if that happens, if you could just tell it to wait for me and maybe take me with you, I would like to join you on the mothership. So funny. My team was very kind. They put the links in the feed for what we have. We don't have all of the Synergy 12, so but the ones that we do have are there. So you give me the feedback. I'm going to switch gears now and get ready for Cosmic Comfort, which is starting in just 2 minutes. So I'm going to sign off for now. But if you came in late, I want to tell you I have a free gift for you tonight. And you know, our 17% sale ends at midnight with Code Eclipse. But this is called the 12. I made an essential oil blend just for you guys with one essential oil to represent each of the 12 stones, each of the 12 energies, the acceleration, the multidimensionality, the bridging, the remembering, the mastery, the purification. It's all in here. So it's free for you with any purchase at sagegoddess.com for the next 24 hours if you say 12 in your notes. It's my little gift to you. Because that will be kind of your essential oil version if you can't actually get all of the 12 stones together yet. And keep in mind, I didn't make this grid until last year. I couldn't make this grid until last year. So give yourself time to collect the 12. And then if you really want something special in the 12, I will try to do that through Denver. So I'm going to keep my eye out because I know a lot of you are looking for bigger pieces in the 12. And as much as I can find, I will bring home for you. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you in just a minute. Cosmic Comfort, thanks for being here. It was really fun to be with you. Thank you for bearing with me while I talked really fast, but I wanted to give everything to you, and then we can do part 2 and drill down deeper into the history and the locations and the mining locations and just the stories and the tales about these vortex places where all of these beautiful stones come from. So more to come. I'll see you soon. Thanks, you guys. Take care.